Hey guys, this is Meek and Rest, and this is She Wolf Alchemy. So today we're doing another questions that nobody asked us. And Meek, you have the first question, so start us out.
Yes. So this question says, I really think social media is such a breeding grounds for potential affairs. So listen to this one. I have had an old BF on my Facebook for, I would say, 5 years now. I also always just wish him a happy birthday. That's all the contact we normally have. So this year I text him happy birthday and apparently get a who the heck is this back. Clearly his wife on his phone. Now nothing is or ever was going on with him and I at all. So I just blocked his number, deleted him from Facebook as the wife just tried to friend request me on Instagram. Like, what is this craziness? Sheesh. I don't think married people should have opposite sex friends. And look at all this BS that can come from it. He did to vent about that. So, I mean, why are we texting him anyways? Like,
yeah.
Why, I know I had an ex that would just write me on, like, social media, happy birthday. And that was it. I didn't say nothing. Thanks. Keep it moving. But, like, if you know he's married and all this other stuff, why you couldn't just do social media? Like, or don't say happy birthday at all. It's just, like, you get so flustered. I feel like isn't that like everybody doesn't have to have friends on social media if they have a mate or if they have exes. No, she didn't even say exes. She just said opposite sex, period.
Yeah, she said it was an old boyfriend though.
Yeah, it was her old boyfriend. But she's making it like
a thing.
A breeding ground for whatever she wants it to be. You know what I mean? Like, yeah. It's not that serious. You could have kept it your little casual happy birthday once a year and keep it moving. Why are we texting him? It's like he want more from that.
Yeah. Yeah, no. My thoughts with this one is all over the place. I had several things that came to mind. Like my whole mind was just like, why are you even mad though? Why are you bothered? Exactly. Why do you care? That's kind of how my thought, but also with you, I was just like, okay, you started off by saying you usually say it on social media and you went to text. So like you did that. That was your fault. I don't agree with opposite sex, like people who are married shouldn't have friends of the opposite sex, because I'm a strong believer that a cheater is going to cheat. Okay. Mm-hmm. Me safeguarding you from other women's vaginas is not going to stop you from cheating. Like I don't have enough time. I don't have enough energy. And like a man that want to cheat or a woman that wants to cheat, they're going to find a way to cheat. Okay. You can be the prettiest, you can be the baddest, you can be the funniest, you can be their ideal dream woman. And if they want to be with other people, if they have it in them where they still are, want other people, they're going to find a way, and it has nothing to do with you. So I really hate the mindset of like, okay, well, social media is ruining relationships. No, people with lack of self-control are ruining relationships. Okay. It's your partner's fault. If they're cheating, it's not Instagram is the devil. Is your partner lacks self-control and they need to get that fixed, or, maybe they don't want to be in a relationship, whatever. So like, that was my first immediate thought on that. But also I am huge on, and I'm saying this as a woman, it would be the opposite if you're a man, but as a woman, I'm huge on like, if a guy likes my page or leaves a comment on like my Instagram or something, and then I immediately get a follow from a woman, and then I go to her page and realize that's her boyfriend, I don't judge her, because I'm like, I don't know what that man put her through. There's a reason why she feels the need to follow the comments that he likes, the people who he follows and stuff. Like he more than likely did something to make her feel like I got to play RoboCop. And that's just kind of how I view it. Like, I don't know. I feel like it's so catty to be like, she's so pressed, or these girls, why you, and you had to follow me. Like, it's so immature and childish and catty to me when I see women do that. I'm just like, who knows what that man put her through? that she felt the need to follow you. She felt the need to leave a comment and make herself known and all of that. Like, it's not enough for me to get stressed over. I don't think this user should get stressed over it. You don't know what's going on in their marriage. Like, if anything.
Yeah, with her getting so stressed, it's like, did you want more?
Yeah, that's another thing that came up for me. Like the fact that this happened, she felt the need to go to the internet to tell strangers and be like, oh my gosh, it's such a thing. Really made me side-eye it. Like, I feel like you wanted it to be a thing.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I feel like you wanted it to be a thing and you needed to talk to somebody about it because you want somebody to like validate, like, yeah, she's probably pressed over you. It seems very humble brag. If anything.
Yeah,
it feels like a humble brag. It's not really a question. There's no question. It's just a humble brag. So no advice given. No advice given to you. No soup for you. You have any more on this, Neat?
No. No.
No.
Feel like she's just looking for a reason to get mad. Like that happened, that it didn't go like as smoothly as she wanted it to. I'm mad now. My birthday, girl, it was once a year. And it was just like, happy birthday. And I don't feel like that's a big thing. My birthday just was yesterday. Plenty of people that I talked to before wrote a happy birthday. It was nothing. Like, and keep it moving.
And keep it moving. And keep it moving.
She's making a big deal out of it.
Yeah. I agree. And again, who knows what he done put that poor wife through? Like, okay, she started following you on Instagram. Like, girl, it means you dodged a bullet because he doing something that's making her feel like she needs to follow chicks on Instagram. That's what's happening there. Keep it pushing. Yeah. Okay. So I'm going to move on to my question. Okay. It starts off with, so hello, everyone. Here is my story. I dated a 31-year-old girl I met on a dating app. We were together for 6 months. And after she decided to break up with me, that was mostly my fault. I would say I was not emotionally available because of my previous relationship and I was neglecting her. For example, she wanted to see me all the time and I wanted to see her only on the weekend. Well, she broke up with me even though I told her I was going to change and did all the bad things. Begged, pleaded, made a gift, etc. It didn't work. She's a strong woman and kind of stubborn too. She's military. So I decided to go no contact and move on with my life. And 6 months passed. So we were together 6 months and then I went 6 months with no contact. And I saw her on a dating website 2 weeks ago. Honestly, it hurted and I told myself, well, I have nothing to lose. Let's send her a message. I got surprised. She seemed happy to talk to me and came talking to me on Facebook by herself. She looked kind of interested, honestly. At least that's how I was feeling. And after 3 days of talking, she told me that she could continue talking, but I should not think about this as anything more. I told her that I was not interested in friendship and I walked away. Now, it's been 2 weeks without talking to her and I'm seeing her face on every dating app. It's getting me crazy. I still have a feeling for her and I think about it all the time. I have a friend who got his girlfriend back, sending her a letter and saying how sorry he was, etc. But it's different. He was in a couple for 4 years. Me, it was only 6 months relationship, and I really would love to have another chance with this girl because I honestly believe I can give her a lot more than what I did. I realized my mistakes. Of course, I can't force her, but do you think I could try to send her a last message, opening my heart and telling her what I feel and how I am now? I just want to be sure that I'm not doing any more harm than good. Some people say the letter is a big no, and for some, it worked. I also feel I have nothing to lose, but yeah, like I said, I don't want to make it worse, if it's possible to make it worse. LOL, thanks for all your help. Sir. Sir. So I have like two different feelings on this. I have been that woman who has ended stuff with guys and been like no contact, going about my life, and them come back later when I'm like start trying to remember their last name later. And I'm always just like, sir, I forgot you existed. Why are you back in my universe? Reminding me that you were a thing.
Actually, it was only 6 months.
Yeah, like and I won't say that because I will say, I feel like with me, it's not about length of time. more so feeling like it doesn't take me a long time to fall for somebody, but it's rare that I fall for somebody, you know, if that makes sense.
Mm-hmm. It does.
But like, here's my thing, like, don't put yourself to the point that like now you are now barely a memory and then try to jump back. Because now I'm going to just be pissed that you reminded me that you were a thing. Especially, at least for me, the way that my brain works, like I cut you off from existence. Like you're no longer alive to me. And then you come back and remind me, I'm pissed as hell. I'm pissed as hell. Like, I forgot you were a thing. I was living my life happy. And now you reminded me of all your bullshit. Came back with it. And I'm not a happy person. So on one hand, that's how I feel about that, where it's just like, let stuff go. Learn your lesson. Like, okay, you realize you messed up. You shouldn't open up more to her. You shouldn't have been. Okay, cool. Now you sit with those emotions and feelings, process them, maybe get a therapist. And now you go use that information for the next girl. She will eventually come along and you go ruin her life. Leave me be. No, I'm playing. You know, ruin her life. You know, you go be a better man for her and y'all go live happily ever after. But let me be happy over in my place, not thinking about you. But on the other hand, I will say that I'm in this phase of my life now where I believe in, like, you know what, say what you feel. And if you are really feeling that strongly, then maybe get it out. Even if she doesn't like reciprocate that, you are able to then go on about your life knowing that there was somebody I did really love and I actually really gave it my best shot. Versus 10 years from now, 20 years from now, wondering if, shoulda, woulda, whatever. You don't want to be that guy that's on her Facebook 20 years from now, married with kids. Like, I should have been her. No, like, say what, you know. So on one hand, I'm kind of like in the middle. Maybe go ahead and get it all out. But again, I've said this before. For me, if you've hurt somebody, man, woman, whatever. If you hurt somebody and you are like, okay, no, I want to get you back, go all out. Do a grand gesture. Do not write them on Facebook and be like, I'm telling you my heart. No. Do a grand gesture. Show them like, I am going all out because I'm putting it all on the line. And sending it via text is not putting it all on the line. And that doesn't necessarily mean that like, oh, empty your bank account and give them the most extravagant gift ever. Like, it doesn't mean that. If you got the means to, it does not hurt. Let me throw that out there. If you can do it, if you can pop up to her house with a baby blue, Benz, I say give that a try first. But it doesn't have to be that. Like, it can legit be something that you remember about her that she always wanted, that she always liked. Like, when I was in undergrad, this was a huge thing for me. I had watched some movie and this like couple had like a picnic and it was this like really nice picnic. It was really, really good. And he chopped up all the fruit and the cheese and all this stuff. And it was like really pretty. And they just had this like amazing date and the sun was hitting her perfectly. And they like made love in the sand. And it was just a beautiful scene. I can't even remember the name of the movie, but for a long time after that, I was like, oh, I really want to go on a really, really nice picnic date. And I remember dating and telling guys that, like, and they were like, oh, what you do? I'm like, I really want a nice picnic date. And nobody would take me on a freaking picnic date. Like, I remember this one guy I was dating telling him that, and he was like, uh-huh. And he took me to, oh my gosh, what is that place called? It's a steakhouse. It's a really expensive steakhouse. Oh my gosh, they have them in a couple different cities, but he took me to like this really expensive steakhouse and was like, he actually made mention like how you thought you wanted a picnic. And I remember being like, sir, I did want a picnic. My feet are uncomfortable in these heels. The bra I have to wear to make this dress work is digging into my sides. I wanted to be in jeans, in a t-shirt, on a picnic, making love in the sand. But no, here we are, flossing for Instagram pictures, and I don't even want this. So I say all that to say it doesn't have to be something like huge, extravagant thing. It could have been one time she told you like, oh, I really would love to go blackout skating or whatever. And you just taking that thing and turn it into something special for her. But please do more than send a text. Please do more than send a text. If any ex tries to rekindle something with me by sending a text, they're blocked before I read the second sentence. Because, sir, we're grown. We are no longer in high school. Why are you passing electronic notes to me?
I don't agree.
I bet you don't, because you're like, I bet. Go ahead, Nick.
I mean, it matters where she is. Because, I mean, you, like, a woman, if she's a woman like you, like, get that shit out of my face. Like, but me, if I was still feeling him, but if I moved on, I'm like, oh, that's nice to hear, but, or no. Like, no, we good. I know somebody did write me an email before, and it meant something, but I had already moved on, so I moved on. So, like, when you were saying before, like, if you don't want to go back and say shoulda, coulda, woulda, so I kind of feel you should get that off your chest. Yes, you have to do more. You're going to have to do more than just this. This is a start. This is a conversation starter. But I think you should express those feelings. You're just like, I mean.
No, I said I think people should express their feelings. I did say that. I wouldn't try that on me, but other people, I think y'all should do that. I do think y'all should express your feelings. If this was a new person, I definitely would be like, oh yes, definitely express your feelings.
But when you're done, you're done. So that's that. But me, sometimes feelings linger. I'm a Pisces. I'm emotional.
Yeah, my favorite Pisces.
Feelings linger. So, yeah, I remember the person that wrote me that letter. If I wasn't with somebody, I probably would have been like, oh, I would have considered, because I did like that person at the time. But I'm just saying, it matters how the person is that you're trying to express these feelings to. It might go either way. If you want to express your feelings, that's okay, but you can't expect a lot out of it. It's no reason to ask around.
Yeah.
It's what wants to accept.
I agree with that. So that is our conclusion to that answer. Yes, if you have strong feelings, express them. Try to express them in a way that feels more than like you're in high school and you're passing a note, but also be okay with accepting that just because you express your feelings does not mean you guys are going to get back together.
And I think you should get it off your chest.
Yeah. Also, I think also knowing the person helps. Yeah. Because if certain guys, like if a certain person from your past was to come to me and be like, Res, I really love Neek and I really miss Neek. What can I do? I already know what to tell them. Like, oh, we about to get her back, bruh. Like, I already know exactly what to do. But if somebody from my past came to you, even someone who I like in that moment loved and came to you was like, Neek, I love Res. I miss her. I want to get her back. You probably, if you know me as well as I know that you do, you're going to be like, yeah, bruh, I think that ship sailed.
It's done, yeah.
In fact, she had a dream about you like 3 months ago and it pissed her off for a week. I wouldn't try it.
Some of them would still try it, but yeah, I'm like, try that, sir.
Yeah, so I think it really depends on like really knowing that person. But I will say though, this is a one exception rule. If you're not on some BS and you really feel like, no, this is the person I want to marry, and not on some like, yes, let's date and let's date for 2 years. And then you give me an ultimatum. And then I finally be like, all right, and I'm gonna marry. No, but if you're like, no, like get back to me, like I will marry you tomorrow type, like that's where your feelings are. Like I think about you every day. I will marry you tomorrow. You are my everything. And I can't, I wake up in the morning thinking about you. I go to sleep thinking about, like, if it is that level of extreme and not in a stalky, creepy way, check with your friends to see if you're in a stalky, creepy way. Okay. But if you are that, I will say, I would get an exception and say that at least express that, because everybody has an exception to the rule. As much as I hate to admit that, we usually all have an exception to the rule. And I, as someone who is a emotional mess herself, I know what it's like to meet a great person at the wrong time and realize later, like, dang, I should have this and I shouldn't have done that, and be at a better place later in life and like, dang, but if I would have met them now, that would have really worked. And it sucks having that feeling. It really does. And I don't think everybody should be eternally punished for that. If you just met a person at the wrong time and you're really on your stuff and you're really like, no, I'm trying to be healthy now. I'm trying to love healthy now. Like, I want to give you all the things you want because I also want them to now. Then I will say, definitely go for it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I agree with that. Yeah.
Yeah. All right, Nick. So what's your question?
Okay, here it goes. My parents have been married for 20 years, but their marriage is far from great. My dad often verbally abuses my mom and sometimes hits her. This has been going on for most of their 20 plus years together. So I want my mom to finally end it with my dad. I asked my mom why she didn't get a divorce, and she said that even though she doesn't like the way my dad treats her, she doesn't want our family to split up, 3 children, and for her to potentially live alone in the future. Should I keep urging her to get a divorce? I don't want her to keep living with my dad the way he treats her, but I also don't want to force a decision on her that she will later regret. So when I first seen this, I was like, is it 3? Is 3 kids? Are these kids in the home? Like, if these kids are grown adults, but it doesn't say.
Mm-mm.
The way I don't want the mom to keep getting beat and hit. But it has to be her decision. Like, if the child was to urge her to leave the dad, the mom could blame her when she's quote unquote unhappy, but really she would be more safe and alive if she does leave him. If he is harming her. I think I seen somewhere where it was saying like she should help the mom, or the child should help the mom to seek counseling.
Mm-hmm.
I think that would be the only not cure all, but it would actually have an outside force helping her to learn about herself and learn what she's going through and make it be her decision and get her out of this hostile place, because she doesn't need to be there. And really, so if the children are adults, she really does not have a reason to be there. Like, when the kids are gone, there's no splitting up. They have their own they have their own lives. I mean, I know it can be detrimental for divorce, but I don't think anybody wants their mom to continue to get hurt, harmed, and disrespected.
Yeah.
So yeah.
Well, with this one, I am I definitely don't think kids should get involved in their parents' affairs. Mm-hmm. Even as an adult, like, my parents divorced as an adult, and I'm quick when one of them is about to slip off and slide and say some stuff to remind them I am the child. I don't want to hear about your bitch problems. And they respect that. And luckily they are like, okay, you're right. Unfortunately, because of the way that this marriage has turned out, like, it's not something they can avoid because they're having to see it. They're having to live it. But I'm just, this one's hard and complicated for me. I'm a big believer in not telling my friends or people I care about what to do in their relationship, especially if they don't ask me. Kind of like this person said, it's like, I don't want to force the decision on her that she will later regret. Because I definitely have done this in my youth, where I had a friend that was in a horrible situation, and I was like, you need to leave. And then when they left, they went through like loneliness, and they were pissed at me for it.
Right. They will blame you.
Yeah, they were pissed at me. Like, it ended our friendship because I was like, yo, red flag. Like, this is very concerning. Like, I again didn't learn my lesson at that time. I had another friend who dated somebody and actually went on to marry this person. And this person had a lot of red flags. And the more I got to know this person, the more I was like, yo, you might want to think about this. Like, yeah, they're isolating you from your friends and family. They want you to be friends with their people. It's concerning. Yeah, they are love bombing you. Like, yeah, red flag. And it ended our friendship. And you have to be careful with that, because it can lead to like, you are the reason I left. I might not have been happy, but I had somebody, and you don't know how that's going to go. And I want to say, it also goes with knowing that person's personality. But, with one of those individuals, I thought I knew their personality and did not expect them to get mad at me at all. So with one, I would say, if your friends don't ask your opinions on your relationship, until they ask, I personally, myself, keep them to myself. But when we start talking about the thing that's making me uncomfortable with this conversation is because it's talking about abuse. And even though it says it's mostly verbal, there is some physical abuse happening in this relationship. And of course, we always want to get anybody away from partners that are domestically violent. The thing is, if you are not a professional, it can get very tricky because when a partner decides to leave their physically abusive partner, that is the deadliest time for them, is when they're trying to leave the relationship. That's usually when violence escalates. A lot of times you'll see people who are in very violent relationships and you're like, well, why don't you leave? And it's like, because, they might hit on me now, but they will kill me if I leave. And for some, that's a very real threat. It's not just a he might kill me, or it's not just a like, oh, he's just saying that. No, they know their partner better than you do. They know what their partner is capable of better than we do. And so it's one of those situations where it's kind of like really hard to push the envelope on that, because you pushing might put them in more danger. With this type of scenario, my best advice is just be there for them. Try to educate yourself on domestic violence relationships, those situations, and try to get the resources ready for when she's ready to leave.
Yeah.
When she's ready to talk about it, be understanding, do not judge. And again, try to have the resources available. Try to be like, you know what, girl, I hear you. I'm here for you. I personally am concerned for you. I did some research. There is a shelter here. They create a whole safety plan for you. They help you get your own place. They make sure the kids still have daycare. They help you switch your numbers around. They help you. It's a lot more complicated than people think. A good girlfriend of mine was in a relationship where there was DV, and she had to move out the state. She had to leave the state to be safe. She had to switch her phone number. She had to get new social media accounts. She had to block everybody that was in contact with him because he kept getting in contact with her somehow. So she had to go from, I don't know who's giving him my info, so now I got to cut all of y'all off for my safety.
They're saying that somebody kept on giving them the information.
Yeah. And so, again, with these type of situations, the best thing you can do is be there for when they're ready to talk, and just let them know, hey, there's help available, and see if you can help them find that help. But even if it was not physical violence, I would still be careful with that, because again, and this is just my own rule, when it comes to relationships, if you don't ask my opinion, unless it gets to a certain level of extreme, I keep it to myself. I think you should encourage your friends to let them know you deserve more. But me pushing the issue of, you need to leave, 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 that oftentimes can tear a friendship apart. And it oftentimes it might put them in very dangerous situations. So let them know that you're there. When they're ready to talk, and try to have the resources available if you can. If you can do the research, just so, if they decide that that's what they want to do, they want to leave, that they can do it in a safe way.
Yeah, I agree. It's just having the resources. I do the same thing. I don't really give advice unless I'm like, what do you think on this? Or what do you think about this?
You give advice afterwards, though.
After
or your opinions after, because there's been a couple people I've dated that you're like, the one person I've dated that I've been like, yo, that was a horrible mistake. You're always like, I just think y'all were great, and I really liked him for you. And I'm always just like, I don't understand it. And the one person I felt like, you know what, but that was actually really good, and I actually really loved him. You were like, yeah, I didn't like him. I really did not like him.
I think that I have my reasons.
It has always confused me, but yes, you're right. You don't say anything, but afterwards you will let me know. Afterwards, you do let me know. I'm sorry. Go ahead.
Did you ask me, or did I just tell you after?
I want to say like I would just be venting to you and you'd be like, yeah, girl. Yeah, that sounds good. And you would give me like little bits of advice, but you never told me the full thing until after. Like it's not till after where you're like, honestly, I'm glad because I saw this and I did not like this. And I was like, oh, okay.
I think I always wanted to be that person with the decision. I don't like, I don't want to give unsolicited advice, but I mean, I still giving unsolicited advice after it's over. But I mean, it's over, and I know you ain't going back, so I could talk about it now.
Yeah, I guess that's good. That's right. That is right. All right.
Yeah.
All right. The next one, it starts off with, hello, kind people. I am struggling over my feelings for my boyfriend over 3 years. He has bipolar disorder, type 2, anxiety, OCD, and post-traumatic stress disorder due to a number of past issues. He was open with me about this from the start, so this is no surprise. He has been mentioning these issues for over 2 decades as well. Lately, since December, he has been very up and down due to a family issue that occurred that triggered past issues he thought was behind him. He has been moody, distant, and anxious. I have been supporting him through his struggles with compassion. I am, by nature, patient, and I try my best to understand him. But I am feeling wrung out. I have my own mental health issues, and I feel as though I am sacrificing my own needs for his sake. I want more affection, more deep conversations, more. I also feel selfish and despicable due to these feelings that will not go away. Communication has broken down on my end because it seems that every time I bring up my needs, it turns to a whirlwind of sucky feelings and poor self-esteem that goes nowhere. It wasn't always this way, but I've been less and less inclined to share what I need due to his reactions in the past and his current mood. Any advice for those who have been here or are in this type of relationship is appreciated. I'm not sure how to process. Side note, he's been seeing a therapist for many years and has gone through all types of treatment. I'm also seeing my own therapist. So with this particular one, I wanted to touch on this one because I have been in this type of relationship and I have dated 2 people who had a lot of mental health struggles, and I feel what she's talking about. And the biggest one, I was in a long-term relationship for a couple of years and they struggle with depression, and I struggle with depression too. And so we both knew that, and we both would be there and support each other through each other's ups and downs. And we both kind of could tell when like, oh, okay, this is this time of year, this particular event happening. I know this is going to be triggering for them. And they would know like, oh, okay, she's starting to sleep a lot more. She's starting to not really eat. Okay, I know what's about to happen. I know what's coming on here. And so we kind of just started to like pick up on each other's like, oh, okay, I know what's about to happen. And we know how to prepare over years. And it took some time adjusting to that and so forth. But in that particular relationship, kind of like her, I got to a point where I was worn out. They went through a particular depressive episode that was different than what I was used to. And same thing, supportive, was encouraging them to get therapy. I went to therapy, was trying to do more, was trying to make life easier, was trying to tiptoe around their feelings and so forth. And I pushed through. But around a year of me doing that, I started to resent them because it no longer felt like my needs were being taken care of in a relationship. It no longer felt like they even recognized that I had needs. And it started to feel like a parent-child relationship for me. It started to feel like, this is my son. Like, this is, I have to take care of you. I have to take care of your needs. I don't let my, how you are when you're a parent. I don't let my issues affect you. I want to make sure you're taken care of, and I will block off what I'm dealing with because you are the child and you should not be worrying about the things I'm going through. And some of that was just me handling it wrong. And I should have been more vocal at the beginning. I wasn't vocal more so until the middle part. But my advice to this particular young lady is, when you're at your wit's end, and you know when you start to feel like a shell of yourself. And it is okay to take care of yourself and pull back when you need, before you get to that point that you hate that person. Mm-hmm. Because it can get to that point when you stifle your needs and you make yourself small and you feel like everything you're doing is pouring into this person and no one is pouring back into you. You can really start resenting a person. You can really start hating someone that you don't want to hate, that you don't want to resent, someone that you want to love. And I personally believe it's best to step back before you get to that point. I think one of the things that it's kind of hard is when you date someone that struggles with different things regarding their mental health. You feel bad and guilty when you're like, hey, these things that are a part of your mental health are becoming too much for me. And it feels selfish to say that. It feels, like you're the a-hole. And I think it makes us want to push more because it's like, oh, they can't help this. This is not their fault. This is not, fair for me to say, your struggles are too much for me. I'm leaving you. And that's what we do. We talk ourselves out of taking care of ourselves and our needs and setting a boundary in our best interest. Because we tell ourselves that, well, because they struggle with their mental health, that I'm not allowed to also have my own struggles, and I'm not allowed to say this is too much for me. And by doing that, you are setting you guys both up for failure, because there's going to be a point they recognize that you resent them and they aren't going to be able to figure out why. And it can be to a point that you can't get back to where you guys were. And that's where it was for me in that particular relationship. Like, I was never able to get back to a point of being in love. I was able to get back to a point of loving them and loving them like a best friend, loving them like a brother, loving them like a teacher, loving them like a creator, loving them in all types of ways. But I was never ever get back to being in love with them because I got pushed too far in resentment, that even when I was like, okay, we need to forgive this and move on, my mind and body would never again allow me to be in love with them and love them that way, because I let it get too far into hate before I stopped it. So my recommendation is, your limits. This is my rule. And I got this rule. I actually had a conversation with a friend who reminded me of this. If I get to a point in a relationship where I feel like I no longer like who I am because I'm with you, or who I am when I'm with you, it doesn't matter. It's time for me to go. Mm-hmm. And there's nothing wrong or selfish with that. You still have to take care of you. Just because your partner has and struggles with their mental health does not mean that you are not allowed to be true and authentic to your feelings of how that's affecting you. It does not mean you need to push yourself aside, your feelings aside. It does not mean that you have to decide only their feelings matter. You too are allowed to have feelings. And like this young woman, she was like, and I also have my own mental health stuff. And I've been there. I also have my mental health stuff, and was like, I had bad depressive episodes that he pushed on through and blah, blah, blah. And in that particular one, though, it was like, okay, but this is my limit. And I had to be honest with myself about what my limit was. Also, another big thing is, are they trying to help? Are they trying to push through? Because if they are struggling with their mental health and they aren't trying to get better, they aren't trying to manage it and so forth, you are in for a long road until they come to that point that they realize that's something that they have to try to manage, that they have to try to improve. Because if they're not trying, guess what? This is just going to be what it feels like forever. And again, I have been there. I've been in relationships where they weren't trying. They weren't going to therapy. They weren't addressing the issue. They weren't addressing their anger. They weren't addressing their sudden will to live. Like, they were living, but only in the most technical term. And it was very painful to sit there and watch them spiritually die. And it was painful to sit there and guilt myself into staying because I felt I had to. Because, well, if I go, then that makes me the a-hole. And what else do they have? But now I'm spiritually dying with you. And that's not fair.
For me, like, I never dated someone who was like diagnosed. They did have, but they weren't. So they weren't telling me like this is what's going on. So I knew there was some stuff going on up in there. And it's like anytime when I feel like I have to be your mother, I didn't sign up. That's bad to say, but it's just like, how long can we prolong this? And I'm losing every sense of me trying to take care of you. And I'm not your mother. You have a whole mother. And your mother pushed you off on me. That's another story. But I'm just saying, like, I understand it. Because it's been a point of time where I was with somebody who I felt that I had to take over and I was their mother. And it was a certain time that this person, I knew they had depression. But guess what? They were doing the steps to fix it. And I was more open to go through that with them than the person who was just dumping everything on me because they had so much going on. But not ever take into account what is this doing to me as a person. They were just taking up all of me.
Yeah.
And like you said, when your whole self is dying with that person, for me it's just not the person for me. And I don't know how harsh that sounds or whatever. Like you said, it shouldn't sound harsh. But like what I was just saying, like it just, I was losing myself. I seemed like I was going down the same road as them. So it's just like, and I feel like I was the mom. And I don't like just taking on that role as a mom. So I'm just saying, you know your limits. And if that person is not willing to do the work, or if y'all can do the work together to get to that goal, to be a better person for each other, or help that person be better, to be a better partner to you. But if they're not willing to do that and it keeps on going on this cycle, I can definitely love you from a distance and keep giving you these same resources, but I can't be in the trenches with you anymore.
Yeah.
That's just me. I've been there. There's not anywhere I want to go again.
Mm-hmm.
But I've been in two different wavelengths of it. I've been with somebody who knew they had depression, told me they had depression, but was seeing a therapist and working through it and trying to work through it and talk about it openly. The other person didn't want to admit nothing, but they had a whole bunch of stuff going on. I could name a whole list of things that this person had going on, especially after I graduated and became a social worker. I knew much more what was going on, but that all was on me and that was draining me, and they weren't trying to get the help that they needed. So it's just like, we're both crazy, right? We're both going through stuff right now. And that whole thing was taking over me, whereas we could actually help each other, or I can actually help you get the help that you need. We can work through it together. I'm always a supportive person, but I want to see you doing some work too. Mm-hmm. And I know depression is hard, if that's a thing, or even any, like, bipolar, schizophrenic, all those things are hard. But that's the thing. I'm so emotional too. Like, man, I can't give up on them. Like, I do be thinking like that sometimes. But when it takes over my whole being, that's hard to say. I have to keep doing this, even with a friend. Like, not anybody that I'm dating. I know I've been through that with a friend, and that took over me, and I had to like make separations with that.
Yes, I recall. I remember that.
So it's just like, it just comes a point, like, you can only do what you can do, and they're not doing that. You can't do more than they want to do, and you can't put all of that on you. And it just comes to that point. I think you just know when you get to that point, and if you can't do more work than that person is doing, I don't think you should. Yeah.
And I think it's important to recognize that you can love a person and realize that they are not able to be in a relationship at that time.
Yeah.
And that's not to say if you are depressed, you don't deserve love. I am depressed every other week. It's fine. But and I know I'm making light of it, but like, no, for real, you can talk to my psychiatrist. It's a real diagnosis in my medical chart. But like, there are periods in time where I was not able to be a partner to somebody. I did not have the capacity to love and nurture and support someone's growth, because that's what partnership is to me. Like, if I'm in a relationship, I want us to love each other. I want us to support each other. I want us to nurture each other for growth and improvement. And if I'm in a place that I'm not capable of doing that, I'm not dating. I am taking a break out. There has been times that I have been in relationships and I have had to excuse myself because I recognize I was not able to be the type of partner they deserve. And that's not saying that every time, your partner goes through a depressive episode or their anxiety is acting up during this particular period that you should just up and leave. Because again, relationships, I don't know about relationship. Marriages are through thick and thin. Relationship. This is why I'm single. I need to stop talking. But no.
Yeah, but not relationship.
Yeah. I ain't going through nothing for a boyfriend. I got nothing for a boyfriend. You want me to go through stuff, you better make me your wife. But I will say, you can go through partnerships and people will go through hard times and so forth. And it doesn't mean leave them, but you allow people a certain amount of grace. But at some period, there's going to be a point where it's like, okay, but you have to try and I can be there. I can help support you. I can help do what I can. What do you need? But when it comes to a point that the person gives up and they don't want to try, you have the option of walking away. You have the option of sitting with yourself and recognizing, okay, how much more of this can I take? And if you can take more, you're willing to take more, by all means do. But when you're at your wit's end, do not hold on and hold out of obligation that requires you to sacrifice yourself.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that's the thing. You have to sacrifice yourself.
Mm-hmm.
What am I putting in?
Mm-hmm.
If the answer is nothing.
Mm-hmm. I agree. And again, your levels of like what you can take and what you cannot take. And it sounds like to me that she is at her wit's end and she is at her level of like, I cannot take this anymore. And I feel like I'm losing myself. And it's a dangerous, slippery road to give yourself up for a person, to decide that, okay, I'm going to lose myself for you. I would not recommend it.
At all.
All right, Nick, you got the last one?
Yes, Maya. Okay. I am quite insecure about myself, but I am able to feel enough confidence to mask it well. However, I sometimes am sure that my friends just bear me. They don't truly like me, or that they are trying to avoid me. That my coworkers see me as an idiot in the thoughts of disloyalness, and that my partner hadn't truly loved me. Also a plague all of the relationships I had. To the point I don't want a relationship because I don't want those thoughts to come back. I know going to a psychiatrist or a sociologist or a psychiatrist isn't advised, but I have neither the money for that nor the will to let my rights be removed or have the stigma that mentally ill people have. I am not really sure what I even want. This is just an anonymous vent. How to stop suspecting people hate me. She needs to just stop. Like, I don't think it's like a sure diagnosis. So she could just talk to a therapist or a counselor, and I don't think it would be a stigma in that. She just needs to process her thoughts. I think it's a start.
I definitely think it's a start. She said I don't have the money nor the will to let my rights be removed. When talking about going to psychiatrists, which tells me she thinks she's going to be 1013, which I think in different states it's called. So now 1013 is when you are forcibly hospitalized. And it's used when someone is in a state where the psychiatrist or the clinician believes that they are a danger to themselves or others. This is usually used when someone is suicidal. So I do have some concerns there because she's saying, because I don't want my rights to be taken. I'm like, what you think you're going to say to the psychiatrist that's going to 1013 you, baby?
The stuff she just said didn't seem like that. Like, it would be that serious, but I understand. I don't know.
Well, I mean, it goes back to what we talked about before, attachment styles. It sounds like to me she has a fearful, avoidant attachment style where there's a lot of internal conflict. There's a lot of fear. There's a lot of ambivalence. There's a lot of fear of getting close and connecting with others. And really, this is an issue of self-esteem. It's not that you're so worried about what other people think because other people think these things about you. It's that you think these things about you, so you believe other people think these things about you. When I don't feel good about myself, I can't believe other people feel good about me either, type of mentality. Mm-hmm. And so, yeah, with me, I'm y'all know I'm gonna go back to childhood stuff. Well, I don't know what your childhood's like. Let's go to a therapist and talk about that. Let's heal some of those inner things. Let's become aware of our own thoughts, because again, this sounds like a self-esteem thing to me. And to me, it sounds like every day you are telling yourself you aren't good enough, that you aren't worthy of someone being faithful to you, that you aren't lovable. That's what I'm hearing, that you don't believe you're lovable, so you can't fathom other people finding you lovable. So her question, how do I stop suspecting people hate me? Stop hating yourself. Mm-hmm. You have to get to stop hating yourself. You have to learn to love yourself.
That is the start.
Yeah, because this sounds to me like projection. It sounds to me like some projection is some unconscious inner workings going on, and you're projecting it to other people. Yeah, so start being aware of your own thoughts. What are you telling yourself at night? What are you saying to yourself while you're running around doing your everyday work? Do you get up in the mirror and you tell yourself, I'm ugly? Start telling yourself nice things. Change your cognition. Change the way that you talk to yourself. Change your inner monologue. When you wake up and you brush your teeth, stare at yourself in the mirror while you brush your teeth and start telling yourself you're beautiful. Start telling yourself, you know what? I have beautiful teeth. I am a beautiful woman, or a beautiful man, or a handsome man. When you're riding along doing things at work, start telling yourself, you know what? I am a good worker. They are lucky to have me. I might not know how to open Excel, but God damn it, can I send a good email? You have to start with ourselves. And not only do we start with ourselves by saying these things, you have to start saying them until you believe them. Once we get to that point, then we can start seeing the change in how we project to other people and how we are able to interact with other people. But there is no way around it if you don't fix that inner love issue.
It isn't. Yeah. It's not right around it. But I don't see why she feels she will be, would you say 10 what?
1013. That's in Georgia. I feel like every state calls them something different, but in Georgia it's 1013.
I'm not sure what it's called here, but I don't feel like why she feels it would be that. But I guess because she thinks negatively to the extreme about herself.
Yeah. I mean, and she could be very aware that if she talks about her feelings, that it's going to come up. Mm-hmm. Like some things are going to come up and she's going to be like, I'm definitely going to, you ask me if I feel like getting up tomorrow, this might spill over into an area that makes you uncomfortable, that makes me uncomfortable. Next thing you know, I'm in slippers with non-slip grips on the bottom. So it very well could be that.
Yeah. It does start with self, though.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I think therapy or counseling will help.
Yeah.
The first step. Too.
Yeah. I mean, and there's some therapeutic tools you can start using yourself. Like one of the tools or interventions I use all the time with clients is I have my clients challenge negative thoughts. So every now and then we'll be processing something that came up and a client will say something. This is a random made up scenario, guys, but a client will say something like, oh, and I just know they freaking hate me because every time I walk into the office, everybody kind of says smile, but they do this like half smirk. And I just know they hate me. And I'll be like, okay, so let's challenge that thought. Okay, that's one version of why they do that. What's another way we can look at that scenario? What is another way that we can look at this? Okay, well, I could be coming into the office and people smile and like smirk because like it's 6 a.m. and they're tired and like that's the best effort they could do. And like to them, they think like that's them putting in effort. Right. That's true. Okay. What's another one? Okay. Well, I guess another way to look at it is like, because I come in angry and mean and like me mugging people that people don't really know how to react to me. So they kind of do like a half smirk, but then I don't smile back. So they were trying to do like a smile and it just kind of faded too quickly because, you know, I'm also not the most welcoming person. Okay, that's another one. Anything else? And we'll go through like challenging those thoughts because a lot of times, a lot of these thoughts are assumptions that we have that have no evidence, which is another thing I like to use, which is, okay, when you're having this negative thought that's caused you anxiety, I want you to stop, look at the thought that you're having, and then think on it. What evidence do I have that supports this thought?
Right.
Everybody hates me. Okay, well, what evidence do you have to support that? Well, no one ever texts me or called me. Okay, do you text or call people? No. Okay, why not? Well, because I don't want to be the first person to text. Okay, so is it possible other people also don't want to be the first person to text? I mean, I guess. Okay, cool. Then that's not evidence. Next, what evidence do we have to support everybody hates you? Well, I never get invited out anywhere. Okay. You told me last week that, your sister had posted something and you liked it. And she was like, oh my gosh, so fun. Do you want to go? And you said no. Is that right? Yeah. Well, you say no a lot to a lot of stuff when people do reach out and invite you. Isn't that kind of correct? Yeah. So is it possible that people don't invite you because you have a habit of always saying no anyway? So people assume that you don't want to go places? Oh, okay. All right. So next evidence. And you have to start training yourself to do that. Because a lot of times we'll have these assumptions. There's no evidence supporting it. And then we allow ourselves to get worked up over this assumption that's based on nothing.
Right. I agree.
So that would be another advice or tip I would give her. Challenge those inaccurate thoughts. Make yourself provide evidence for the negative thoughts that you are thinking. And determine, is that true? Is what you're saying to yourself even based off of anything that is accurate? All right. Do you have anything else to say on that?
No.
Cool. So yeah, that was interesting. That was like a deeper version. Usually we get some like funner questions. And I feel like answering all these questions, I felt like be very careful with your wording, Russ. The internet is forever, Russ. Are you sure you want to say that? Is that who you want people to take a 5-second listen to and determine that that's who you are? Oh, gosh. So yeah, that was a lot deeper than I expected. But that is all the questions we are going to go over today, guys. I hope you guys enjoy. When you listen to this episode, make sure you go to the Instagram page and leave Neek a happy birthday post. Neek just had her birthday yesterday, our favorite Pisces. It's Pisces season, and she looks so beautiful.
I'm trying.
We are going to have a special bonus episode for you guys. Follow us on Instagram at SheWolfAlchemy. We post a lot of mean stuff on there, but we also keep you guys updated with what's going on with the podcast, when we have new shows and when we're having extra shows. As you guys know, me and Neek are actually both social workers. So March is actually National Social Workers Month. And I know what you're thinking. Why do you want to listen to an episode about social workers and listen to social workers talk? Because we are the funniest people you know. I promise you. If you, even the most boring social worker I know has some of the funniest, most outrageous stories, okay? So we're going to do a special bonus episode for National Social Worker Month. It's going to be fun. We have guests coming on. They're going to talk about their experience in the field and so forth. It's going to be fun. I'll post on the Instagram. Also, if you guys would just like, follow, subscribe, wherever you're listening to this podcast, please do us a favor and go and leave a review wherever you are listening. It is such a big help for podcasters. Any of your favorite content creators, reviews help far more than likes. Reviews help get us noticed. Other than that, we'll have a new episode for you guys next Thursday.
Bye.
Bye.